Hello, friends, and welcome to my today's lecture that is on the character sketch of Mrs. Ramsay in Virginia Woolf's novel To the Lighthouse. In my earlier lectures, I had already talked about the summary of the novel and the various major themes that Virginia Woolf deals with in her novel To the Lighthouse. Today I'll be talking about the main protagonist, Mrs. Ramsay, her character sketch in the novel. Now, when we read through the novel, we find that there are many attributes or many qualities rather that are attributed to Mrs. Ramsay in the novel. She has been portrayed as an image of, or in an image of, fertility and softness. We all know, while reading through the novel, that Mrs. Ramsay is at the center of her family. Not only that, but she is also one of the central characters that Woolf depicts in her novel. Now, Mrs. Ramsay is a character who is constantly present, not only as the worldly present, but also in the minds of the characters. As a beautiful, charming, and a nurturing personality, we see that she holds the Ramsay family together as she holds every social context. She enters by her charisma and instincts for putting the people at ease. Now, she has been depicted as one of the most beautiful women, and there are many compliments that are paid to her in the novel. For example, she has been addressed to as the happier Helen of her times. And all her guests that have come to her place and the others, they admire her. And even leaving aside the males, even the women are fascinated by her beauty. She dominates the novel that we would see when we read through the novel, and even exercises her influence on everybody. And definitely, she's very attractive and reverential, but a very dominating character. But besides that, she is also very considerate, polite, cultured, humane, and kind-hearted. And we see that she exalts the beauty of the world, and though she insists that she is not a thinker, but she frequently reflects on the nature of time and the human experience. We could say, as she's also, as Lily sees, an artist who can make out of the fleeting moments something permanent. She has already been portrayed as a good wife and a creator of the comfort for everyone. Now it is Mrs. Ramsay who failed to treat her chivalry, and she's a means to satisfy Mr. Ramsay's male ego, his physical needs, as well as the other needs of the family too. She has the ability to bring together the many disparate things into a whole. And as we see, beauty was not everything for her. Beauty had this penalty that it came too rapidly, too readily, and it came too completely. Now, Mrs. Ramsay, she quietly influences the people to the shape that she wants them to take in the name of greater ideas. We also see that Mrs. Mrs. Ramsay, as is highly domestic, focusing on her role as a wife and as a mother of 8 children. She is who can be called as a perfect housewife or an ideal. Now, she has a talent of bringing together people, which acts as a skill or an art. She is a critical thinker of a different sort than is usually expected of her. As a woman, she questions herself and her motives and looks open eyed at her faults. Now, Mrs. Ramsay also holds to the lighthouse together, for the novel's shape is totally structured around her, and her perspective dominates chapter 1. And even after she dies in chapter 2, we see that she still remains central. In chapter 3, as the surviving Ramsays manage their grief, and even Lily Briscoe, she revisits her memories of Mrs. Ramsay and makes peace with her ghost. And she addresses Mrs. Ramsay as a virtuous soul. Mrs. Ramsay has also been depicted as an ideal woman of the Victorian society, which coined a new phrase for her, angel in the house, in quotes. Now, so she's actually the angel in the house there. And there is a famous shloka in Sanskrit for the women, which reads, Karyeshu dasi karaneshu mantri, Bojeshu mata shayaneshu rambha, shamayeshu darantri, Rupeshu Lakshmi, Satkarm Yukt Kuldharm Patani. Now, it means that a woman should manage the household like a manager, and she should cook like the mother. She should fulfill all the wishes of her husband. And if all these things are fulfilled by a woman, then she's an ideal woman, a wife. And Mrs. Ramsay was a perfect embodiment of an ideal wife or woman of that Sanskrit shloka. Now, the novel To the Lighthouse is also viewed as full of symbolism by some of them. It is full symbolism which describes the surroundings and the life of Mrs. Ramsay. According to this view, Mrs. Ramsay has been portrayed as one who helps to bring the world out of chaos and darkness with her positive nature, and by being the source of light for the other characters. She has also been considered as a peacemaker and almost divine, together with being beautiful and motherly. Now, the characters in the novel, they associate her with light through implied juxtaposition, because she brought positive energy to everybody who knew her. And posing as a light, she also brings order into chaos. She possesses the desire to be organized. Now, when we read through the novel, we see that from the very beginning of the novel, Mrs. Ramsay emerges not only as a woman of great kindness and tolerance, but also as a protector. She considers it her primary goal to preserve her youngest son, James's sense of hope and wonder. surrounding the lighthouse. Now, she's a very committed and a devoted person, such that she behaves equally with all, even those who do not deserve or appreciate her kindness. She has also been portrayed as a matchmaker in the novel. We see that in the novel, it is she who brings Paul and Minta together. She had even wanted Lily and Mr. Tansley, or Lily and Mr. Bankus, to be united in marriage bonds. At certain instances, her sense of humor has is also been shown, and Mrs. Ramsay has been depicted as an essentially feminine character. And also, when we see that there are so many guests in her house and the way she behaves with all of them, so she's a perfect hostess. People keep wondering, how does she manage everything? And there are many more qualities that are attributed to Mrs. Ramsay. I'll be sharing a little few more of them in my next lecture. Till then, goodbye and thank you, friends.